Hi, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a rec video. I love summer horror. I don't like summer. I'm actually not a summer girl at all. I prefer the fall. I'm a sweaty bitch, to be quite frank. But I do love summer horror. I think it's just so thematic, so nostalgic, and I love it. I think that there's a few different things that make me put a book into that like summer horror category. So we're gonna go over all of them with examples and recommendations, and also just some things off of my TBR because I have a lot on my TBR as well. The first category is kind of like carnivals or fairs, that bright light at night but can still be totally terrifying type of situation is just like very good to me. When I was a teenager, they had a state fair or like a county fair every summer, and it was very fun. It was one of the only times my mom let me off leash and just kind of run around, but the people that did run the fair were sometimes kind of scary. Like, I remember one of them purposefully scaring us, and so there's definitely like that horror element, even though it's like bright and cheery, like to your face. I feel like it's a little darker underneath. So I have a few recommendations for that. First is Geek Love. This is one of the first like horror books that like truly I was like, whoa, okay, take a minute. Because this is about a family that is part of this carnival, but they need exhibits, they need attractions, and so it's a married couple and they start taking substances like bathroom cleaner and just like things that you can get at like a cleaning aisle that you're not supposed to ingest in order to have children with birth defects, so they have something to show for it. Like, these kids have like flippers, and obviously like mentally they're not up to speed either, because like how could you be if your parents are taking all of these substances on purpose? And obviously it doesn't treat especially the mom very well either, because she's the one primarily taking the substances. But it's just like kind of horrific, and it just sucks you in. It's so good. This is like one of the older horrors that I think really holds up to, so I would definitely recommend it. It does also feel very summer to me. And then we have one that I read I think over a year ago at this point, Fantastic Land by Mike Bachman. This is a kind of like a Lord of the Flies type of survival situation where it's this theme park. It's very kind of similar to like Disney type of theme park, and there's this disaster that happens. People can't get out. The buses aren't running anymore. So they kind of have this survival situation for not like super long. I think it's under a month, but it goes off the rails like almost immediately. People start forming packs trying to survive and get like very hostile and violent. And there's kind of an instigator in all of this. It's also told through like interviews, first-hand accounts, and like articles. I really loved a mixed media horror. I think that's super fun. And then we have a brand new one that is actually compared to Geek Love. It's called Freak's Law, and it's compared to both Geek Love and Night at the Circus, which I have not read. It's about a traveling carnival of troublemakers that live in this small Scottish town, and their like ultimate goal is revenge. And from what I can tell, it's like very queer, so perfect for Pride Month. It just came out. I haven't gotten to it yet, but it sounds so good. The ratings are also like kind of right around where I like my horror. They're not like too high, so I think there's a chance that I really like it. And the last one that is on my TBR is called Cirque Berserk. This is like an 80s slasher situation where a group of teenagers killed a bunch of people at this carnival and then just disappeared. And now the carnival is like abandoned. People don't want to go there anymore, obviously. And a group of teens are like, you know, it's a good idea if we go to this like mass murder site. And then it kind of like picks up again. I think it sounds really good. I know Books with Lexi really likes this one, and I think the cover is just it's so good, and I'm very excited to get to this at some point. I don't know if it'll happen this summer because I have a lot in my brain that I want to get to, but maybe for Summerween or something. My next category is slasher, and for this category, typically I prefer like a supernatural kind of slasher. I'm not thinking like a crime thriller. I'm thinking like the classic like slasher movies that we get to see. I guess like Scream isn't supernatural, but like Freddy Krueger or Jason, those feel so supernatural to me. One author that I think does the slasher genre just like so well where I really enjoy it is Stephen Graham Jones. So the first one is a trilogy, which is kind of fun. The first one is My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. This is about a girl. She's very annoying. Jade and being in her head, she's a teenager, she's still in high school, she's extremely annoying, but she's very into horror movies. She's very into the final girl trope and horror and slashers and everything. And then her town gets taken over. This horror slasher situation starts happening. She's like, I need to find the final girl so we can survive. And it's just kind of about that. As the books go on, Jade, her inner monologue gets way less annoying because she's growing up. I think there's 4 years between each book. But this one is a good place to start, and it's a lot of fun if you can get over Jade's inner voice. I did. That was the biggest thing that I didn't like about this book, but I understand why it's there. I Was a Teenage Slasher is my favorite Stephen Graham Jones. This is about the unwilling rise of a slasher. It's about a teen boy in the 80s, and he's not like the most popular or like the best at anything. And then one night at a party, he gets infected with like slasher blood, and is just kind of like this unwilling participant to being a slasher. And I just thought it was so unique the way that Stephen Graham Jones kind of like turned this slasher genre on its head and gave us like an origin story, but like in the most fun way. It's also very tragic, but it's very fun, and I think that it is a perfect summer read. One of my favorite like slasher novellas is Rest Stop by Nat Cassidy. This is so much fun and felt a little bit different than his like longer books. I think it had less to say politically and was just like gross and disgusting and buggy, and I think it fulfills one of the fears that I have of getting stuck in a public bathroom and not knowing what's out there. I think that it is just like a true fear. It's so good. It's so much fun, and I would definitely recommend it. It's so short. Also good for summer. And finally, I'm counting this as a slasher, even though it's kind of more of like a Parasite book. This is The Troop by Nick Cutter. This feels very summer to me. I think it's probably because they're on an island too. And I was so horrified for this. This was my first like dip into like more extreme horror, but I think that I am ready for more. This is about a group of Boy Scouts who go on this island. They're just like getting a badge or something, learning how to survive in the wilderness. But then their like leader gets infected by this bug, this worm that makes you so hungry, like hungry enough to eat concrete. And they slowly start getting infected and getting like ticked down. I didn't find the infamous turtle scene to be that bad. It's the kitten scene that nobody talks about that I had to skip over. But the turtle scene, is it horrific? Yes, but like it didn't make me as horrified as the kitten scene did. Be aware of that. Definitely check your triggers like all horror books. But I think that this is a good summer one if you want something a little bit more on like the horror side and a little less on like the fun horror side. The next category is Summer Vacation. Goddess of Filth by V. Castro is technically summer vacation. Like they have just graduated high school and everyone is on like their summer break. But it's more of a possession story. I read it in the summer, which I think is maybe why I'm thinking of it as like a summer book. But they're also like, it's the summer that they are experiencing, and I think that also makes it a summer horror in my mind. And it's like a good for her kind of possession story. Like if you like Jennifer's Body, you're probably gonna like this. It's about a group of girls who just have graduated high school and are kind of waiting for their next thing, whatever that may be. And they decide to mess with a Ouija board, which obviously does not go well for them. One of them gets possessed, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. And again, another little short one that I think is super worth it. This one I just read, and that's Diavala by Jennifer Thorne. I love the cover. I think the cover makes it seem a little bit more gothic than it is, but it is about a family. All of the children are adults, but it's a family that goes to vacation in Italy and all stay in the same house, in the same villa. And it's known in this town as like a haunted situation. I think she's the middle adult child. They hate her for some reason and are just like really mean to her, treat her like the problem child, even though she's like in her 30s, I think. And her older sister has kids who she vibes with super well, and then she has a younger brother or twin brother, but I think he gives off younger but also like golden child. And the true horror is the way her family treats her, but it's also like kind of like a possession story. It reminded me a little bit of Come Closer by Sarah Gran, but it was a little less bleak. I think that this was super fun. I did have to put it down a couple times because her family made me so mad and I just had to walk away. But I think that this gives like European summer but with like horror vibes in it, and would definitely recommend. Then we have Sundial by Catriona Ward. I feel like Catriona Ward always gets classified as a thriller author, and I just don't think that's true. I think that she's a horror author, but maybe that's just like my preconceived notions and I'm wrong. But this is about a woman and her daughter, and they go to the desert where the woman was like raised, and there's something off about the daughter. Like, she really likes setting animal bones and is just kind of like giving psychopath vibes. She's like 11, but she's also worried that her mom is taking her out to the desert to kill her because of this. But we kind of learn the mom's backstory. She had a twin. It was really tragic. They did like experiments on them, kind of. They were orphans. And I just love a Catch Your Own Award twist. I think they're so good. This is also primarily set in the desert, giving very summer. And then I have two that are on my TBR. One is White Line Fever by Casey Jones. This just came out. And the tagline on the back is, "They'll break more than speed limits on this girl's trip from hell," which is just really silly to me. Also, Nat Cassidy blurbed it. A group of women who are on like this girls trip, this weekend trip, and in order to save time, they take a shortcut on something called the Devil's Highway, which is only 15 miles long, but is apparently full of horrors. I'm very excited about it. I don't think I read a horror about a girls trip. I think it could be very fun. I have high hopes for this one, so I want to get to this one this summer. I will give you my thoughts. And this one I soft DNF'd a really long time ago, maybe 2 summers ago, but I want to try again. I've heard the movie's better, but I still would like to read the book before I get to the movie. And that's The Ruins by Scott Smith. This is about 2 young couples who are on a vacation in Mexico, and then things start going wrong because one of their party disappears, and they find these ancient ruins and probably fuck with them when they shouldn't. That's what I'm assuming. I'm gonna try this one again one more time, but just know that I did soft DNF it, yet I'm still putting it in this video because I want to try again. Next category is water horror, and I have a few of them. I think that water horror and claustrophobia usually go hand in hand. That is pretty true with these, I think, actually. So the first one is From Below by Darcy Coates. This is about a group of divers. They're on this expedition to film this documentary. But the ship is like haunted, and they kind of know that, they kind of don't. I don't know why you would ever go diving to a haunted ship. I think that's just one of those things that is like, you're kind of getting what you asked for here. I don't know why we're screaming, but it is really horrifying, very claustrophobic, and I think that this was my first Darcy Coates too, and it made me excited to read more. I still haven't read more from Darcy Coates, but I'm going to. Then there's Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. Mira Grant is one of my favorite like fun horror authors. This is less fun than a lot of her other things, but I did really enjoy it. It truly horrified me. This is like Killer Mermaids. It's about another documentary group, kind of. There's a lot of different people on this expedition. We're following a lot of different lives and a lot of different voices about these mermaids, trying to find them. And when they find them, they get so much more than they bargained for. Truly horrific. Very fun. I want it turned into a movie. And then this one isn't one that I've read yet, but I did really love The Starving Saints by Caitlin Starling, so I have high hopes for this one. I got to go see her talk recently, and she says all of her Harper Voyager titles are the ones where she gets to be really weird, and then her St. Martin's Press titles are the one where she has to be like more normal and contemporary. So this is a Harper Voyager one, as is The Starving Saints. So I'm very excited about it. This is about a woman who goes on this like deep dive cave exploration type of situation. So it's going to be very claustrophobic from what I know. And she is pretty reliant on this woman on the surface. And they kind of have this like toxic relationship. It should be very good, and it should stress me out a lot, which is really what I'm looking for. My last category is books that aren't out yet, and I'm sorry about that. It's just books that are coming out this summer, and maybe summer horror to you is just brand new horror, so I'm going to talk about them. 4 of these come out in July, and 1 of these comes out in August. First, we have The Library at Hellbore by Cassandra Khaw. I did not love the Cassandra Khaw that I've read, the mermaid one, but this one is like kind of academia. It's like the teachers start killing off the students and they have to survive after already having to survive this semester, which is apparently pretty like murder heavy according to the synopsis. So I'm really excited about this. I think that the length is a good one and it should be good. Then we have The Bewitching by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. This is, I think, less horror and more kind of just like historical fiction, which I think is why I'm struggling with it a little bit. I am 144 pages in, and I've been 144 pages in for like too long at this point. I'm not hating it. There's just like so many other things that I am more excited to pick up, but I'm hoping to get to it before July 15th when it goes on sale. So This is about 3 women in 3 different timelines, and they're all kind of like witches and just their experience with that. And I don't think they'll ever converge, which is like not my favorite. I get invested in a storyline and then there's like an abrupt shift, and I'm just like not very excited about that fact. Then we have My Ex Antichrist by Craig DeLuey. I still have not read episode 13, but I want to. But this is quite literally about My Ex Antichrist. This is about a leader of a band who, at like the height of her stardom, confesses to murder, and then the band breaks up. And now we're years later, like 15 years later, after that happens. So I don't always love like a band or like a celebrity kind of story, but I think in horror it could work for me. I'm excited to try. And then the last one is House of Beth. This is about a woman who marries this widower, but he may have killed off his wife. We're not sure, but the house is haunted, and I do really like this cover. And the last one is on sale on August 12th, and that's 13 Months Haunted by Jimmy Giuliano. This is about a middle school librarian who kind of picks out a student and is like, there's something off with you, and she's correct. But she tries to befriend this kid to try and help her, and maybe shouldn't have done that. So that's my horror stack for the summer. Let me know what horror you're most excited to read this summer, and give me any kind of like physical media emoji. Would be so great. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.